it worked really well. I had 1 million views in one day from doing this strategy.
And I know we're not going to agree on this, but do you think a business should use it? And let's say this. Do you think every business should use TikTok?
The Keystone Habits are just one habit. If you changed it, it has just a cascading effect on every other thing in your life.
Well, I was at a different place as an entrepreneur back then. I was more of a wantrepreneur, and I have not got that with a lot of like networking communities here. I think it's a lot of just very surface level types of things. Look how great I am. I got that from Pitch Now. I got that from a lot of like the startup community here in the Springs. I miss that.
Welcome to the Colorado Springs Business Podcast, where we discuss business principles and provide real-life insight into the lives of everyday business owners and entrepreneurs. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe or leave a review wherever you might be listening. Now, let's talk business. Every flight that I've ever booked, and I'm changing this from now on, I am not going to book it based on price alone. So what I'll do is, like, if I have somewhere I want to go in like a month or two, or maybe even 6 months down the line, I'll look at all the months, find the cheapest day, hit that day. Don't care about the time, don't care about anything, because it's usually like drastically cheaper than a lot of the dates surrounding it. Like it's like a green one on Google Flights, you know. It's like you got all the ones around it that are just regular colored, and this one's green, you know, or not red too. But I picked that, and I realized every time I've had to fly, I have to go to Denver Airport because I'm also picking the cheapest one.
Right.
International airports are way cheaper than, city airports. I don't know what they call those ones, but they'll call them a city airport.
Like the municipal airports?
Yeah, like more smaller ones. But not small airports either, but just not international airports. Yeah. They have cheaper flights because they have flights going in and out all the time, like 5 of them coming in every like 5 minutes, and so it's like cheaper. So I have to drive an hour and a half north. You have to get there 2 hours early. So I have to so my flights are usually like 8, 9. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm not much of an early person, but that's cool. No, that means I got to get up at like 3:30, 3 o'clock to get ready, get everything, make sure my head's screwed on straight, make sure I'm not forgetting anything, which that takes enough stress alone, because you're sitting there like going through everything, the dog taken care of, this taken care of, everything in order. I'm not forgetting anything, Kevin, and so
I forgot about you're talking about Home Alone.
Yeah,
it's got that reference.
Christmas is coming up, so yeah, it's a Home Alone reference.
So you're not doing that no more. You're not doing like booking cheapest flights, then like don't think about it until like the night of or the morning of, rather.
I'm not gonna book a flight based off of price. I am going to base it off of price, but that's not going to be top metric. Top metric is not at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Because that just stresses me out, because I wasn't able to go to bed till 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. So that means I was like, okay, it's either I stay up all night or I at least get an hour's sleep. Last time I had a flight, I decided to just stay up all night, and the next day was terrible. Very terrible. This day was bearable. Not terrible, but bearable.
There's so many friends that we have that do that too. I think whatever. It's just kind of how you prioritize time. Like for me, I knew like once I hit 30 that I wanted to prioritize sleep, because like all my 20s, I did that, like an hour of sleep, all-nighters, all that stuff. And I've realized like how much better like my health, mental health, like emotion, everything, physical health is better with some sleep in mind. You can't always do that though, right? Sometimes you just can't, but if you can, like prioritize the hell of it.
Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to prioritize sleep since last October when I was listening to Huberman's podcast, the Huberman Lab podcast. He was really, and like I've already studied sleep before, and I've already known that I need it, because I was doing a nature podcast, and one of the episodes was the nature of sleep and why we have it, and that's when I learned a ton about it. But beep. We may start beeping things too for the channel as well too, for the YouTube channel specifically. I think that might be a good thing to do, just for ad revenue, because you get demonetized if you have cuss words in it. I am just sidetracking. I was saying something there though.
Talk about sleep.
Sleep, yes. I've been trying to prioritize it, and my main goal has been to get my sleep on track. But as that goal has been a priority, my business has been like growing as well too, making it harder to maintain proper sleep schedules. Right now I'm all over the place. Like I went to sleep at a decent time 2 days ago, but last night I went to sleep at 3 a.m. So
Yeah, I know, because we talk every day. We have a podcast together, but like I know because you'll text me something in like 4 a.m. I'm like, what the hell are you doing up at 4 a.m.? Or are you not gone to bed yet? You know? So our schedules.
Well, I mean, it depends. You know, sometimes I am up early, so
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of erratic. You know, I mean, you're an editor and videographer, so I mean, that's hard. That's a hard life because you do need that solitude. And where you find solitude, early morning or late nights, and usually they kind of blend into
And just because you're up late night, that doesn't mean you're not getting the right amount of sleep either. But that's the one thing I was talking about with the Huberman Lab podcast. It's more than just the right amount of sleep. There's things around it, putting it into patterns so that you're more likely to, like, that's just how we evolved. Like, it makes things better. It allows things to, we're routines. We're creatures of habits, you know? It's like when things are in routines, we can start seeing things more clearly. We can start not being, we can be less scattered because things start falling into place. There's something called a Keystone Habit. And if you read like The Power of Habit or Atomic Habits, which is like the unofficial sequel to Power of Habits. It's written by 2 different people, but that's kind of, when he wrote that, it was kind of like a sequel.
Based off of that.
We'd like to take a quick break to thank our sponsor, Planet Duct. Let me tell you what, these guys, they've got some powerful equipment. Their fleet of air duct cleaning trucks are equipped with some of the most powerful vacuums you've ever seen. I mean, these whole trucks, the entire truck, is one giant vacuum itself. With their expertise and equipment, they not only get the job done, they get the job done right to maximum efficiency. And you don't want to be breathing in nasty air from having dirty air ducts or having inefficient airflow, so get your ducts clean with Planet Duct right now. Visit planetduct.com. If you're from Colorado Springs, then you've probably seen our next sponsor driving up and down Academy or at any of their other 3 locations here in Colorado Springs and in Pueblo. El Super Taco has authentic Mexican food with locally sourced and fresh veggies and meat that is chopped daily. Be sure to check them out next time you're hungry and mention the podcast too. I mean, we don't got a code for you, but definitely mention it. Power Tool Safe has a vision to help fight against theft. They've developed technology to help you keep proper records and are building a community of awareness around stolen goods. Sign up today for a free account and register up to $10,000 in tools and equipment. No credit card required. It's as easy as setting up a Facebook account. Imagine having a team of marketing professionals working for your business, making sure that you get the awareness and sales that you deserve. Well, that's exactly what you get with Recon Marketing. With up to 35 plus years in experience and 10 million plus in managed budgets, they know exactly what it takes to put you on the radar. And our final sponsor is my company, Veman Visuals. We produce videos with passion and strong meat. Our goal is to innovate and push the boundaries of what's possible when it comes to creating powerful visuals that drive results, whether that be in business or in life. We have the production power to produce any kind of visuals you want, from documentaries to YouTube videos to social media content, commercials that are designed for television, 3D animations, and so much more.
Yeah. Well, the Keystone Habits are just one habit. If you changed it, it has just a cascading effect on every other thing in your life.
100% with me.
So one person quit smoking, as an example, and that, or I think it was quitting smoking specifically, and that led to like them starting taking their health more serious, and that led to this, led to that, led to just an overall happier life. And I think sleep is one of those keystone habits that all of us can control, or should control. I mean, I think we all have power over that, whether we want to say that, oh, my job doesn't allow me for this, or I got so much work. It's like, you choose how you want to live your life, you know, for the most part. And I don't know how it's going on.
Well, think about animals. Animals have those keystone habits, right? Most animals, either they're nocturnal or they'll hunt during certain types, like dusk and the dawn time. That's a keystone habit. Like it's in them to do that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I think I was listening to Impact Theory and they're talking about sleep more recently. And they were talking about like sunlight when it hits like a human, like you naturally are waking up whether you like it or not. So if you're going to sleep like during the day, you have to like black out your room if you want the effective sleep that you need. Because us as humans, we use the sunlight, whether we like it or not, as that's the enabler for us to wake up and get ready for the day or whatever.
Yeah, and quality. There's quality, and then there's the pattern. Right. There was one surprising thing that I learned from Huberman, and he bases his stuff based off of research and statistics, but still, you can only. He even says at the beginning of his podcast, don't take my specific word for it, do your own research as well. But based off of what the research that he's gathered, and some more like new studies that have come out, is the time of sleep based on your time zone, like where you're at, also plays a role on the quality of the sleep. So there's a period between like 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. where it's like the most, like something happens, I don't know, but you want to be
like REM sleep.
Not even just REM sleep, because you get REM sleep every cycle, like, and every cycle repeats every 90 minutes. But the REM sleep, not the REM sleep, but the sleep specifically, I forget what it is. I wish I remembered this specific fact better, but it's something about being in bed by 10 or 11 p.m. does prove to have better benefits. There is some benefits that they're seeing from that, and yeah. So I mean, there's the time, and then there's the quality. Like I've always had it in my head. Like something I learned a while ago was not just the light, but anything that's activating brainwaves in your anything that's activating like your senses while you're sleeping, that's taking away from the actual power of the sleep. So if you have a TV on, or you have any kind of light on, unless it's like some kind of moonlight or something, like something that's very dim, that can affect your sleep because it's activating. Even though your eyes are closed, you still sense that. That means your brain is not trying to, it just is processing that because it's being fed that. So the most like quiet and silent you can get, the better quality of sleep as well too. So yeah, I want to get better sleep. I wish I could. I wish I was better at it, and yeah.
We've been doing a lot of this has been a different month for us. We've been kind of doing a lot of different like marketing tactics. Of course, I have a marketing agency. I do it all the time, but I know we've been talking a lot more about different tactics to garner a lot more organic reach and different types of things like YouTube Shorts. Mm-hmm. Did you want to talk? I know we've both dove into this. We did this before the podcast today, but like, if people don't know what YouTube Shorts are, can you just describe to them what they are and like how they're kind of like making a pretty big splash right now? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, they've been making a big splash for at least a year. It's just now getting popular. And so that's actually in stocks, when something is getting popular, it's usually a bad time to buy in. But with Reels, that's different. It's like you're not buying in. It means that it's not the most optimal time. It may be the peak time, so it's like get in now while you're doing it, but you should have been doing it a year ago. Is how I feel about it, and I have been doing Reels for the last year or so, even for this podcast specifically, where we're cutting clips, like more than a year, because I actually I'm getting memories from them actually. But it's the difference of action. And knowing something and then actually taking action on it. What I should have done was seen the opportunity and cranked up on it. Doing a reel here, doing a reel there, not taking it as serious as I should. I feel if I would have been doing 3 reels a day all year, I would be at a different position in my life. This podcast would have 100,000 subscribers probably, and subscribers mean nothing essentially, because you can they're the least powerful metric of how successful a channel is, because you can have 100,000, you can have 1 million subscribers and your channel's getting 1,000 views because it's 10 years old. 1,000 views a video you post because it's 10 years old, you abandoned it and you're trying to revive it or whatever, or you just fell out, you're not in the public eye. Like, you can have a lot of subscribers, but is anyone seeing those? And that's where Shorts comes in. It's like you can have no subscribers and you can get that reach because you can. When I say reach, you can reach more people. Like, it pushes it out. It has more test subjects, you could say. I guess it tests more of a bigger audience without having an audience, and
right.
And then it optimizes based on how those test groups perform, and if those test groups perform well, then it gets moved, and then it gets sent out to more people. And if those test groups perform even better, then it really starts pushing. Like, you're getting like hundreds of thousands of views at like just 3 or 4 tiers down of being pushed out by the algorithm when it comes to Shorts. Or and this is adopted from TikTok, and I like how Gary Vaynerchuk puts it, the TikTokification of social media.
That's good. There's some truth to that.
Yeah. And that's what's happening, you know, with Facebook, with Instagram, and like, you could have called it like, you could have called that a while ago. It's very interesting. One thing I was doing in early 2019, maybe even late 2018, was I had the success that a lot of people are seeing with their reels right now, with their reels and their shorts right now. They'll post one, it gets hundreds of views, sometimes even like a couple thousands of views. When you see that, like off of something you created or something you posted, it gives you a feeling of like, oh, this is cool. You know, it gives you a good feeling, and it's an addictive feeling too. You know,
it's a dopamine hit.
Yeah,
right?
It's a big dopamine hit. It's more than just a like. It's giving you awareness and recognition for what you're doing. And one thing I noticed was in early 2018, late 2018, early 2019, is I posted a SpongeBob trend of me going to the mirror and like, you know, me 10 days after watching
10
SpongeBob.
days later, yeah.
No, not 10 days later. No. There was a trend where it was, you'd take a subject and then you'd walk up to the mirror and you'd hold it and you'd be like, 1 day of listening to SpongeBob, and then you'd go 5 days, days of listening to SpongeBob, and then you'd go 30 days after listening to SpongeBob, or something like that, you know, like, or that wasn't what I did, but you know, it's like you'd do that. You'd hop on the trend and you'd add your own, you'd either record it yourself or even just copy someone verbatim with your own body. That's a lot of TikTok actually. And I did that and it got like 10,000 views, and like, I was really excited about that opportunity because I had no audience. And I'd already been posting on TikTok because I read Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It, which had just came out in like 2018, something like that. And that's a sequel to Crush It. And he was talking about this. He was talking about each chapter had like a social media in it. And he was talking about Musical.ly. And he was like saying Musical.ly is going to be like.
So what's Musical.ly though? Tell our viewers what Musical.ly.
Musical.ly, music.ly is TikTok. TikTok, the company ByteDance, bought TikTok and they own Musical.ly. Or they own TikTok and they bought Musical.ly. And then they just rebranded their thing to that. And so it's like, I seen that and I was excited. So one thing I would do is I would take TikToks that were popping and I would put them on. I was a little ahead of my time actually with this because it wasn't really working. But though it was working, actually I lied. It worked really well. I had 1 million views in one day from doing this strategy. I was taking popular TikToks and just, because you could download TikToks too. It was before they even shut off. They gave you the option to shut it off. You can still download TikToks, but now you have the option to shut off if someone can download it or not. But you could just download it, and I would post it on my Facebook, specifically my Facebook page, Hasley, which is my personal brand page. And I would post like them on there, and actually that did okay. The 1 million views was actually something else. The 1 million views was actually a 4-minute horizontal video, but it was someone else's content. It was like basically a curated thing. But as I seen that, it grew my following, the 7,000 on Facebook, and I was just thinking, how can I siphon these TikToks because of this? This is the reach. This is the thing that we're talking about with shorts right now. It has been there, and I say the opportunity is there, but I don't think you're taking advantage. And this is why Gary Vaynerchuk has been so loud about it, and not only loud about it. If you go audit his account, he has the receipts. He's posting 4, 5. Sometimes more than that times a day. The reason he says that is the opportunity is there, and I've squandered that opportunity, I feel, but I don't think it's too late.
Yeah, but the big thing there is, and I think a lot of people need to understand this, and you actually said this, but it's super important for people to know, is these are served to people outside of your following. Mm-hmm. And that's huge. I mean, think how big these platforms are. This is the first time you're going to be able to garner an audience based off of not just your following, but what's actually like how well the video actually does when it's serving it to people outside of that. And that's huge. It's huge. And why? So tell us why Gary's saying like post as much as possible. That's pretty much the strategy. Post as much as humanly possible. Why is he saying that? Yeah,
because it's almost, I say it's like a crapshoot is how I see it. It's like there's no metric that says this one video is going to do, and that's the thing about it. You can't gamify it, and that helps. I think that's one reason why it's been successful is you can't really gamify it. It's really, you can in a way, you can optimize things to play in your favor, but you post something, and this is why you can post things again later, you know, maybe it doesn't do well now, but you could post something and it doesn't do well. You post this seemingly crappy clip that you know, really not really has any even value in it, you know, maybe even just slightly funny. And for some reason, people gravitate to it. Like there's some nuanced thing in it where it just hits right. Maybe it's a sound bite that just, you sounded stupid and now everyone's using it on things, and you know, it's like, you never know. But it puts it out there to a small amount of people. And then off of that, it does start building information, and it goes more than just random people. It goes off of, okay, these people that liked the video, they all like this type of content. We're going to start showing them other type of content. And so sometimes you'll be on that other type of content. So what happens is, instead of people finding your content through who you are, they're finding it based off of their own interest. And that's what Gary Vee means when he talks about the interest graph. Based off of the social graph. Most social media is built around like who you know and who follows you and who follows who, you know. But TikTok, the TikTokification of everything is based off the interest graph, which is you find a creator based off of your interest because of the organic reach that it provides for you and those avenues. So the reason you want to put out multiple ones is because everyone is a gamble, and sometimes you it may even be good. You put out one, it doesn't do well. Maybe it wasn't that it wasn't a good content. Maybe there was just something wrong with the video. So you take it, you re-edit it. You try to optimize it a little bit. You post it again. It doesn't do well again. Maybe on the third, and I've seen a video like this where someone did that. You know, it's like the third edit that they had, it went viral. Like, right. And viral is actually a funny word, because I was talking to someone the other day and he was like, I had something that went viral. Blah blah blah. It was awesome, and then he said it was like 10,000 views. Right. So it's like some people's viral is 10,000 views.
Yeah, sure.
My viral is at least 1 million. Sure. So, you know,
it's subjective.
Yes, it is subjective. But what's cool about that is the reason I don't consider that viral is because this shorts, this Instagram, these vert vids. I like to say vert vid because it's not. And
that's important for people to know too. So these videos are vertical videos. To be seen like with your phone vertically. Yeah. Most people don't know that. You know, you have to describe that, like a 50,000 foot view of like what a short reel TikTok is. It's a vertical video. They have to be filmed completely different sometimes too. Sometimes they can't be cropped, you know.
I was a big proponent of vertical videos when I was doing the Hasley podcast. This was before really I even was active on Musical.ly. It was before the any TikTok kind of algorithm was really going on, but vertical videos were in stories, you know, and they were on Snapchat.
And so that's why that's why I think they got so popular too in the US. I mean, it was the combination of TikTok and all those things, but also stories. People were doing them in vertical. We're getting they're garnering probably more engagement, and they probably saw those in those platforms. Not only did they see the success that TikTok was having, they were seeing in stories how much more of viewers they were getting, you know. So
yeah, and what's cool about stories is it shows you exactly who viewed the story. So that's data you could take and start understanding who's actually watching you and who to really focus on, because I mean, you want to double down on the people that are actually taking the time to watch your stuff. But also there's the stories thing where I seen a meme where it's like she thinks I'm watching all her stories, but really it's tap. You're just tapping through like all 50 of them or whatever, because some people put like 50 stories. That's just ridiculous. Well, I mean, it works. I mean, people will sit there and watch through them. I mean, I've gone through a creator that I've liked, Ty Lopez, sometimes on his stories at one point.
It's all like one video. It's a long form video, a lot of this stuff too.
It's really technically like, and sometimes it's cool to see little bits of your story. And I was actually thinking like, you know, you could do like, you know, vlog styles through your stories. You know, you like, that's the benefit of the stories is you don't have to think. You just pop it up and you just put it out. But then if you're doing that too much, it's like people tune out really quick, because if you're just talking a lot, I've had people where I just tuned out, you know, because all they were doing was just talking. It's like, I'm just trying to look at some cool stories. I'm not trying to listen to a speech, you know. So
yeah, well, that's changed a lot too, though, right? Stories, because stories was it 15 seconds at first, then 30, and then a minute. Like I
don't even understand that, because I use Instagram, so it subdivides all my stories for me when it automatically posts them on Facebook, because Facebook won't do that for you for some reason. It's so dumb. Like, so you have to put it on TikTok if you don't want to have to go in and cut it yourself, which is very tedious and not want to do it, especially when Instagram just does it for you. So it's like I never really understood why they went. I don't even understand the significance of going to a minute, because I feel like I've always had a minute. You know,
you kind of have,
because it just subdivides it.
Right.
Like, what is it? And it still subdivides it. Like, what the beep?
Yeah. Maybe there's more watch time on it now. Like overall. So if you post, you know how there's like a lot of those, you know, segments, all these pieces. Maybe now it's like, it can be like a 15-minute, because Ty Lopez, his story, if you watch all the way through and he has all those, it's like 15 minutes long. It's long now. So,
well, it's always been long. He's always.
But there used to be a max to it. If you remember, there used to be a max to your stories.
No, I didn't know that.
I used to have a cap to, I think it was like 10 stories, but they're like, back then it was only like 15 or 30-second stories.
That was only on Snapchat. Well, maybe
no, it was on
at one
Instagram
point
too.
it was on Instagram, but for the last at least couple of years, it hasn't been that way.
Yeah, so they're making them longer too. I mean, the
they just get really, really, really tiny.
Longer.
You know, they stop at 10. They don't stop at 10. They just get tiny. It'd
be interesting to see how long, or if it's infinite now. I don't know if it is.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think stories are where things are going. I think they're fading out, actually. I don't know if you've noticed, I used to be active daily on my stories. The last couple of months, I'm like every other day, maybe, you know. Also, I don't really feel like it, you know. But I think it's important because you do stay in front of people's faces and stay on top of their on top of their radar.
I think it's the most front end thing you can do. I think people were more likely to watch a story than, you know, engage with a post. I think that. Well,
engage with the post. The cool thing about,
I'm talking from like a business standpoint, like a business doing a story. That's what I'm talking about specifically.
Will they see it more? I don't know. Like, because there's the engagement part. Like, what if the same amount of people are seeing your posts, but you just don't know because they don't give you that metric?
Well, like, here's something to think about. Like, are you going through stories, or are you going through your feed more often, or is it like does it not matter for you?
Well, that's exactly the point right there. Is I think less people are going through stories now. I think they're going through the Reels section on Facebook, at least on Facebook. On Instagram, stories is still a powerful thing, I think, because they're the top of the page. And on Facebook, they are too, but it does start it out on Reels instead of stories, for me at least. I know they do test
Well, and
subjects.
they're two different things too. Yeah. I mean, because more than likely your stories are more targeted towards your following already versus like a Reel that can be like massive, right? It's your following in.
Yeah.
You know, people outside your following.
I don't know how this happens, but my stories get views from people who don't follow me. Yeah, so I don't even know how that happens.
I think they have suggested stories now.
Okay,
I think that's what they're doing.
Oh yeah, in the explore page, that's where it's been. Yeah.
Yep.
And you could probably I probably view them and don't know that I'm viewing. I probably have before. Maybe, I don't know actually, because it's a different format. You know, it's not a swipe up. It's a tap left.
All right, so we have to talk about this because this, I think, is an important topic. Right now, we're in a war with all these platforms for attention, and all these platforms want the most attention, right? But it goes deeper than that, because you said ByteDance owns TikTok. ByteDance predominantly from China. China, with all their companies, especially their major ones, has to be vetted through the government and censored through the government. It is what it is. That's kind of what the communist government is. But what do you think about TikTok? And I know we're not going to agree on this, but do you think a business should use it? And let's say this. Do you think every business should use TikTok?
Every business? No, actually. I think a lot of businesses, I think business is so nuanced. It's like some people are already so busy that they don't even need to do any marketing, you know, like at all. And that's just because their industry, you know, like construction is a big industry where that happens a lot. Like a lot of businesses, they're happy where they are, being a one-man crew or a two-man crew. A lot of businesses are so overwhelmed with the amount of construction work there is out there that they don't need to do marketing. And
do you think TikTok's a necessity for a business looking to grow in this market right now?
I think it really depends on where your market is, because I think businesses that are doing it are going to go down the path of starting to get all the market share, because they're being in front of the people. They're the ones that people know about. And these other companies that aren't doing about it because they're doing okay, they aren't doing it because they're doing not just okay, they're thriving still because of the flow of business that they have. Or their business is going to start getting smaller because these other businesses are growing because they're popular, because they're doing things like TikTok. But I know your question was specifically TikTok, but I think on a broad stroke of doing marketing altogether on social media, I think the businesses that aren't doing it eventually are going to have no choice but to do it. Like right now, they can still some can still get away really, really well without it. You could see, it's interesting because they say Tesla doesn't do any marketing, but Elon Musk is the biggest influencer on the planet. Yep. And that's why they don't have to do any marketing, but also because it's a really good product,
right?
And it changed the game literally.
Yeah, and I think there's still not enough marketing behind how great the cars actually are. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people don't even know about all the capabilities of a Tesla.
They don't know that when you brake, it takes that heat energy and converts it into electric energy to charge the battery. Like, they don't think about all these little cool, crazy, awesome things about it, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of Easter eggs, think about like a Tesla and all the Easter eggs in a Tesla. You can make the car dance.
Yeah. They could bite dance on TikTok.
Doesn't have to, but they included that. You know?
Yeah. And so it's like, with TikTok specifically, was that a TikTok specific question?
Well, the initial question is, you know, it's more so like if someone's looking to broaden their strategy, they're already looking at Reels, they're maybe doing YouTube Shorts already. Should they include TikTok in that strategy as well?
I think it like again, I'm always going to say it really depends on who you are. But I think, yes, you should include it. But I think it could be good and beneficial if you're starting from zero and never doing any content ever. Pick one platform and just focus on that platform. I think that would be a good strategy for someone. Because it can be very, I don't know, posting just a reel or a vertical video for this podcast. If I'm not fully focused, and I actually want to create a system that it makes it so much simpler and all laid out in one spot. If I'm not fully focused, it can take me up to 15 minutes to post one reel because I'm on TikTok. I got to go on TikTok, post it. And then I got to go on, not 15 minutes, but still, maybe sometimes probably 15 minutes. For real.
Just the posting, it's not even including, like,
not even creating
building the content.
Not even writing anything, really. Right. Just the posting, because I'm going on TikTok, I'm going on YouTube, I'm going on Instagram, I'm going on Facebook, and it's like, crap, man. It's like, that's why I'm actually just focusing on YouTube mostly when it comes to these reels, because some of them haven't been posted on TikTok yet. Just because it's like, I want to get a system where it's like I can just check it off and like make sure I don't forget anything, but also just follow it so I don't have to like get distracted. Because what happens is I have no order for this, so it's like I'll go over here and get distracted by this or whatever. It's like if you're not focused, it can actually take up time. Like, it makes no sense because all you're hitting is upload. yeah, it's weird.
And there's cons with it too. You know, with TikTok. And some people might not mind, but like the privacy policy is a little bit more loose than say even Facebook or Instagram, which people already have problems with that privacy policy. So I think it's important for our viewers to know, like, the stuff that's on TikTok, the things what you do on TikTok, and read through the privacy policy, because there is some things on there that are, you know, a little invasive to maybe your privacy. So it's important to read that, do some research on it. I know plenty of people who use it and they love it and, you know, they don't mind, but there's going to be other people who do mind, and they should look into that, you know, prior to using it and see if that's a good fit for them or not. Some people, you know, like I said, with Facebook, they have issues with Facebook. So look into it, do your research. There's pros and cons with everything. Obviously, TikTok's still massive. It's growing quicker than any other platform right now. That's why I feel like they cranked the algorithm up for YouTube Shorts, is because they're like, we're going to combat this. So we're going to combat it with the second largest search engine on the planet, YouTube.
Yeah, and then TikTok added search into theirs as well too. That's one of their ways to combat against YouTube. Because now they're playing in the search engine game, like how I was saying, like why we need to do clips, not shorts, which two different things.
Right.
Was because YouTube is a search engine, and those things are more of a long-term strategy, sitting there waiting for viewers, you know, like when they need them, when the viewer needs the video, and it could be play out for
like a normal video. Yeah.
It could, normal depends on what a normal video is for you.
Like a normal, like, how-to video.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a clip. So yeah, there is a lot of there's a lot there, right, to unpack as far as like if someone wants to really know what's the difference between like, again, a clip. It's usually a shorter video. That's really the definition.
Yeah, it is a shorter video, but it's not short, It's
but it's usually like a topic-based
Yeah, it's
video.
usually topic-based on one topic, and where was I going with that? But TikTok has really optimized for search as well too. You can really be found by search now. Your content, if you label it correctly. So that's important. You can also post them up to 10 minutes. So it's like, so it's like, so it's cool. But my thing is, I feel the Facebook's just as safe as TikTok. Whether or not it has a filter through the government, because I think the government still does things like that here. They're just not open about it.
It definitely is. You're right. I think the big issue is whether or not, I mean, it's again, it just depends on who would you rather have it. Someone who could potentially be an enemy versus someone who is your government, and that can also be an enemy too. But I'm saying like it just depends on who you want your information in the hands of. Yeah. And so that's the only big thing there. That's where I'll leave it, If you want to do research on it, do more research on it for our viewers.
Yeah. I just see it's like the data that they're getting is more than just your posting. This is just what you're posting. It allows them to have access to so many things on your phone.
Right.
That's what the terms say.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the terms on all apps say that, right? But like you said, it depends.
It's more loosely on TikTok. So it's more so access to your phone outside the app when you're not using the app. It's based off of like what you do when you're on TikTok. If you're buying things and like credit card information, all those different things. Yeah. That's the thing I worry the most about, That's not even what I'm worried about, Like I'm more worried about cuz okay, what did you say? The first thing? Did you say location? Location's a big one. That's what they got in trouble with 2 weeks ago is they have access
to your location.
Yeah, they're coordinating high-level officials in the United States and figuring out where they go and what's their like normal habits and where.
That's what scares me is more than just credit card information and your shopping habits. Like that information is just for advertisers, location data is too. But it's like it's more scary. But like with the things with how AI is going, you can do anything is scary. Like. The amount of data, like with the amount of things we can figure out about people is increasing while the amount of data we need to figure out the things about people is decreasing, meaning we need less data to know more about you because of AI. We can know all these things about you just off of these 3 key points because we've trained AI to identify connections, and there's like a 90% chance if you have these 2 things, you also are this, with the technology increasing of recognizing patterns like that with AI and being really accurate at it too, like not just like we're assuming they're like because you like this, you like that. No, we're pretty like 95% sure that you like this too, or something like that. And then that kind of data, that's just the surface level of what it could do. Is like what you like, But then it could like start doing some weird predictive beep and like I don't know, it can really get crazy.
Oh, most definitely. And I think like again, I don't know where that goes with it. I know China and like issuing a social credit score is something I'm not for. I'm not for if you disagree with the government about a certain issue that, they can like limit you as far as like public transportation, getting money out of your bank account, all those different things. That's something.
Disagree. Yeah. This is where we get philosophical because people are in prison right now for smoking weed in America.
Yeah.
So it's like for having weed, like, so it's like they disagreed with their government and they took away their rights.
We're going through something very different too. I mean, cancel culture is definitely a huge piece to what's going on in the United States for sure, and that's kind of, it's the next level out, you go cancel culture, then you go what's probably like a social credit score of like anybody can be silenced for any different thing, but it's not only inhibiting their ability to get their name out there or like project their voice, it can inhibit them financially and where they go, all these different things. So that is a very real thing that's happening. And it's not just happening in China, it's happening all over,
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, that's the thing. It's like the difference though there would be, it's like we voted that law in, but did we?
Yeah,
You know,
so I was gonna say, did we? Did we? Yeah.
And that's where influence comes in, and that's the scary part about having that data. I think on, on a platform. It's like a platform has the power to. We've learned a lot of how to control people over the last 100 years, and do it in a covert way, meaning undercover, like you don't know what's happening to you.
Right.
It's like, are you really going to Dunkin' Donuts because you want to go to Dunkin' Donuts?
Wow.
And that's like a regular thing. But then it's like, are you really denouncing your government because you want to denounce your government?
Right.
It's like, it's like, how do you insidiously change a whole culture's perspective? And that's where the power can come in, I think. Like that's what I'm talking about with AI too. Like AI can figure out, okay, just train a model that is really accurate at convert, like your main goal AI is to convert this person to Judaism. And this AI is going to spend so many iterations, 100,000 until it figures out the best way to do that. And then it's going to implement it across the platform or whatever, it's like, just thinking it's like, you can get doom and gloomy about anything, I think, it's like, but there's bright sides to things, I think, it's like
bright sides to everything.
Yeah.
I think there's overall been a bright side to all social media. A lot of people can disagree with that, but it's given a lot of people voices more than they've ever had. That's good and bad, right? Sometimes the smallest groups of people have the loudest voices. That's what's happened. That's okay. But we're going through a very different time in the United States right now. Then it's like, and the world, as far as like overall exposure and what's going on, who's crying out about what. I mean, there's a lot going on. The war for attention is on, Yeah,
and it's like we all love it, and I think we all like to feel like we're being heard, and whether some people are, stubborn and like they've had a rough life, so they're like, screw everyone, maybe,
Sure.
but they're like that because they didn't get that attention, maybe, probably. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but, but yeah, I was just thinking like, it's like, there's the good part, like you were saying, and then there's the bad part where it's like 20 people, like Jordan Peterson talks about how 20 people can get together and be the loud minority, It's like it sounds like it's a whole group of people, but really it's just 20 people,
right.
But they're just loud.
Yeah.
So it's
that's happening a lot.
Yes. And he was breaking that down on his new episode with Andrew Schultz. He was breaking down the concept of that. If you want to hear more about that, it's right here in the link. The link's going to take you to our Bitcoin account, and you can. No, just kidding.
That'd be great. That'd be great. No.
We do have a Patreon though. If you guys want to go support the show, it's been there. I always forget to promote it. We have 2 patrons. We can do cool stuff with Patreon. I think like we can add extra perks. Speaking of the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, there's episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the audio-only versions that aren't on the YouTube channel, like episode 13.
Wow.
Yeah, so they weren't on YouTube. They never got posted, but they won't ever get posted because I think that'll be incentive, I guess. I don't know.
It's true. So we don't have too much time left, but I wanted to talk about this because I think it's something that's super interesting. We were looking at other office spaces last week together, and we were talking to someone who is like a space captain in the local community here for a co-working space, a predominant co-working space.
Space captain.
That's his
cool
official
word.
title, I believe,
I love
is space
it.
captain. But he was kind of talking about what I was talking about earlier on 10 years ago in Colorado Springs. And I would say it was going until at least like 2 years ago before COVID, but how the startup community here was thriving so much, and how like a lot of the co-working spaces now are not really entrepreneurs or freelancers, but they're more so people who are like auxiliary contractors for bigger businesses, and they just need to get out of the house, so they're asking their company for a budget to like rent out a co-working space. And that's what's predominantly in the co-working spaces right now, are those people who are employees of other businesses who need some space. And that's the same thing in my office. I'm seeing the same thing.
When you say auxiliary, what do you mean by that?
Just like they're not an official employee of the company. They're a contractor. Auxiliary is kind of the same thing. But that's interesting. Before 10 years ago, we used to have a thing called Pitch Night. I loved it. It was like Shark Tank for local entrepreneurs here. And it was a little bit more, edgy and probably a little bit more intimidating than say like Million Cups, which is good. I love Million Cups too. Million Cups is awesome. It has a great place in the community, and that's awesome. It's every Wednesday.
It's intimidating when you got to speak.
But it's kind of interesting when other entrepreneurs are like asking you really pointed questions about your business because they're trying to help you, you know?
That's what Million Cups does at the end.
Right. But these ones are like, you know, really based on like the budget and like, it's like Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's really in the
beeps.
Yes. And it was awesome. And I want to bring that back here. I think that'd be awesome to do here. But I do think that the pandemic had a huge effect on a lot of entrepreneurs here. And so we're trying to figure out ways to kind of get them out. I think they're probably just at home working now. They're probably saving some money, but there's definitely a lot to be done in downtown Colorado Springs. We've been down here. I've been down here for a year with my office. You've been down here for what, close to 2.5 years, 3 years? How long have you been down here with
August 2020.
2.5 years.
Yeah. More give or take, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think it's predominantly from the pandemic is the reason why a lot of entrepreneurs don't have like a lot of office space right now? Obviously, with the pandemic, a lot of people have gone virtual. We know that. But what other things what are you sensing down here right now?
Well, the last year I'm not down here that much, to be honest. But as a business that is down here, I'm not sensing any of that because I'm not paying attention to it. I want to ask you a counter question, I guess.
Sure.
Since I don't have an answer to that. What do you miss about Pitch Night? What did you get out of that?
Well, I was at a different place as an entrepreneur back then. I was more of a wantrepreneur. I was trying to figure out a good community of people who can really bring value to me and that I can use for mentorship. And I found that a lot more with experienced entrepreneurs talking more so about the tactics, the strategies, the resources that you need to excel in this community, specifically Colorado Springs community. And I have not got that with a lot of like networking communities here. I think it's a lot of just very surface level types of things. Look how great I am. You know, let's get in contact, let's get coffee and talk about how great we are. I don't like that. I want to be able to get a roadmap. When I was younger, I wanted to get a roadmap to, you know, excel in this community. And I got that from Pitch Now. I got that from a lot of like the startup community here in the Springs. I miss that. I don't need that roadmap as much anymore, but I want to link arms with people who are actually doing really big things here and be surrounded with that. I think that's very important from like the startup to like the more established business for people to have that.
Do you think you saw that when you discovered me doing this podcast?
Yeah.
Do you think you felt a sense of that, and that's what gravitated you towards it?
Yeah, I think the big thing, well, a lot of those people on here are awesome, and they're a big community here, but I want to be able to get new faces, because there's a lot of people in this town, man, close to 1 million people. You know, in the outskirts and everything in the greater Colorado Springs area, there's a lot of people here. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, and there are a lot of people who are just needing that community, and more so than just networking. We need to have something that's more tailored around giving people the right roadmap, the right resources. And a lot of people are doing it here. There are those resources here, but I think the community needs to be centralized in downtown Colorado Springs. It's had blips of that here. Obviously, the pandemic affected a lot of different cities. I mean, major cities are probably way more decimated on that front than, say, Colorado Springs. But I miss that. I want that. And I know you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying that stuff, right?
Well, maybe. When you say that stuff, what do you mean by that stuff?
That type of higher level of entrepreneurs who are actively doing things that want to network and provide bigger support in a way of not just like, hey, like I just started a new company, great, let's get your name out there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to like link arm and build strategic partnerships with people who...
Well, that's a bummer because, that's not a bummer. It's a bummer because a person who was supposed to be a guest last month, he's a big proponent of that, you know? Like, I think he's starting the pitch night. Like, he's doing that. And like, he's a part of Yemi's team as well too, on top of that. But he invests in entrepreneurship, I think. If I remember, because I had a good like hour-long coffee meeting with him. And that's when we booked it. And he's like, I don't know if I'll be able to make that date, but I'll try. And he wasn't.
Right.
But it's all good. The bummer part is I think that would have been a good conversation to have on this podcast. And because those are the kind of people you I think you just said you wanted to link arms with, and by that you mean you want to find other people who can help lift up the you want to find entrepreneurs who have had some success, can help lift up the entrepreneurs in the city, or help build that culture of startup again.
Yeah, I mean, like an example was this. Like when I was at UCCS, I was the president of the marketing club there, and then I had a good friend named Sam Elliott. He used to be in this community. He left for Denver community, but he had the Entrepreneurial club. He was the president of that, and I don't remember if it was our clubs or it was something external in UCCS. But we used to have events where it was Shark Tank, but like the winner of, there was a bunch of people and a bunch of different presenters, and they would present. And whoever we thought was like the best presentation would win money. This is like a college ran event. That's awesome. We should be able to do that, outside of college. I feel like there's a gap there. Like when you leave college versus like, if you want to be able to start your own business, like what is that? Like there's
what
so
it
much
is
to
going
do.
out to the Chamber of Commerce and going out to, Million Cups or applying to go visit a few BNIs. And then at either of those three places I just mentioned is where you find other small networking things or medium networking things like Million Cups, or because that's how I found that was like I reached out to a BNI group and the guy invited me to Power Connectors, and then Power Connectors is powerly connected to Million Cups, really, really intricately connected. And I think that's how you would go about it now, even after COVID. It's a little bit less popping because when I came here in 2019 was before COVID. Those meetings, they were popping, and they're just now really getting back to that way that they are, I think.
Yeah.
But while you were talking there, it reminded me. No, it gave me the idea of something that I wish that I want in my life and in my business. Not necessarily a community. I like that and I want that. But something that I've been wanting lately and I want to build, and it just makes me really excited to aim for, I think, with whether it's Veeam Visuals or it's a collective of companies, and where I think me and you are already kind of building something like that, like what I'm about to say, is there's I was kind of talking to you about this the other week. I want to build like not just networking groups, but I want like a team of the same people that are always around each other and always, like taking care of things within the business or their businesses, as long as they're intricately connected. There's a reason why I'm wanting this, is because I'm seeing it on YouTube with another group of people, and it's making me want that, but it's also just really freaking awesome to have that. And I want to build like a YouTube channel around it, essentially. Like I want to do what they're kind of doing, but it's like this type of YouTube channel is the type of YouTube channel that isn't just one creator. It's a collective of creators, but it's one concept. You actually probably know who I'm talking about, even if you don't think you know them, because they've produced multiple viral videos. Did you know there's actually a company out there that their job is like, their company is designed to produce viral videos? There's probably a few of them out there, but this isn't one of them. Kind of. They don't do it for other people, but they do it as a service for other people, this company I was referring to. But the one company I was talking about that has this camaraderie is Corridor Crew on YouTube. What they've built is this YouTube channel. It was founded by two guys where they were just starting it like 10 years ago, and they do VFX stuff. And they also do other kind of content as well that just makes sense because they've built a channel where people have a relationship. There's like maybe like 10 people in that group, and if you really start watching a lot of their content, you build individual relationships with all the individual characters, you could say, and that's something I want to build. I would love to have that, like even if it's like maybe like we get a studio like how Brian's a warehouse is, a warehouse like that style, because that's kind of what their warehouse is kind of like. It's very interesting. It's in LA. It's like that a lot, but they also bought like the next part next to it on the upper deck where they have like a room for all the computers, but then they have like the big studio area down there where basically Brian's build area is. That's where like they have a big green room and everything. And
cool.
If you watch the channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. But what they've done is they've also built a subscription service called CorridorDigital.com, where they have more higher quality content on, like they produce such good content, and they produce a lot of content weekly, multiple times a week on YouTube. But on top of that, they've created their own Netflix type of thing. And it's just really cool, their model that they've built on that. And that's something I want to build, not just like on a YouTube way, but I see the camaraderie that they get out of it, and it just makes me want that, you know. I think that would be really cool. It's like I think what happens on their like main corridor channel, like one person will everyone's like will have one person will have an idea for a video, they pitch it, and then this person's in charge of that video, getting it done. And like you can tell like when someone's taking control of a video, like when you start watching it, they're usually the one talking the most. But they're doing all this cool beep, you know, like all this cool stuff. They did a video where they were doing like a Bob Ross challenge, where they all had to paint a painting in VFX, like on their computers. They had to generate the whole entire painting, but using only visual effects, 3D art and stuff like that. And they had to do it in the same time as the Bob Ross painting. And they're just doing cool stuff like that. And they've done other cool stuff. They have a weekly show where where it's like a podcast, a video podcast, really well put together video podcast. They've built it up. They've niched it down to just VFX, and they've built it up to a point where it's like they have these really big people in Hollywood who like their show, and so they have them come on. You know, Seth Rogen's been on their show reacting to how they did effects in This Is the End, which is a hilarious movie. But yeah, now I'm just going off on a tangent. What I meant is, I think entrepreneurs could benefit from having a core group too, not just a community group as well.
Well, we're kind of saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. I just know a lot of people in the entrepreneur space here that are not, like, whatever they're searching for as far as that community, that tribe, whatever core group, whatever it is, they're not finding it here. Mm-hmm. They're not finding it with the current networking
I think
groups.
it's you have to build that to yourself. When it comes to the core group, I think it's more of a close, intimate
and again,
thing.
like, I found that. Mm-hmm. I don't have those issues. What I've found issues with is that I have a lot of friends who reach out to me for specific business questions. I'm happy to do it for them. But we should have resources like that in the community here. That's not affiliated with like an entity or anything like that. It's just something that's completely a great resource for them to plug into and get to know other people in that core group, other videographers to get together and talk about their stuff, other marketers to get together. Like, we need to do that here. I've been in other communities in Colorado, and they have that. And they have it in a very big way. And not only that, they're getting people flown in from all over the world who are like some of the best in the world at what they do. And it's only getting bigger and better. And so we need to be able to like centralize that here down. I would like for it to be downtown. This is downtown, right? Yeah. But I feel like here it's very pocketed, and like you have your communities of whatever.
So when you're thinking that, there's got to be a specific example you're having. Like, I had my specific example of what I wanted because it's inspired by that what Corridor's crew's doing. Is there a specific one
I think it's with anybody. So videographers, be around other videographers and editors. Marketers, be around other marketers and people in that space, creators or whatever. But there's got to be a way for us to link arms with people, and that's that vertical, and like have like a set environment in which like we're not just like trying to be competitive with each other, but we'll also be able to link arms and possibly build strategic partnerships from it. That's really what builds a business community.
It feels like there's too many industries for this town isn't big enough for every industry to have something like that.
It doesn't have to be every industry. Okay. It could just be people who are just in different phases to start different things. But there has to be more of them. You know, I think the community here, the networking community, all of them are great and amazing, but there's probably only like it's probably only like 20 of them, 25 core people. I think there needs to be more. We're a bigger city now. We have to have more people. We have to be reaching out and have like a community outreach for those things, because people in Northgate don't know who the hell the main people in networking are down here.
I think we should take the time to do some research and maybe even make a video on it, because I want to do little smaller videos for this channel as well too. I think that are just like one topic, we're straight talking and not cut from a clip, but like where I think we could add resources like what you're saying, because I think we should do some research, because we see a core group. We don't see a core group, but we see the common faces between a lot of the networking groups. They do intersect, but there'll be like a bunch of them that only go to this one, but they don't know the ones over here. So there's still that aspect of it. And then I have a feeling that there are these groups out there. We just don't know about them. I have a feeling.
I think there is, but if we don't know about them and we're pretty well connected down here, then how the hell is a person who's like very talented videographer or whomever it might be, who's looking for that, like how are they going to find it if we're not able to find them?
I just haven't sought them out. You know, it's like I when I was in my seeking phase, I sought out a bunch of them. You know, we got power connectors. We got Heartland Connect. Well, there was one in Woodland Park I went to. I went to a Monument Chamber meeting. I went to a Colorado Springs Chamber meeting. I've been to a Fountain Chamber meeting. I've been to, I think I said Million Cups. And like, that's a lot right there, I think, you know? And I feel like I stopped there because that's just where I there was enough, you know? I think if I was like searching harder, I could probably find more. And if not, that's the information. That's what I want to know. You know, I want to find if not. But I think it's also like if we're going industry specific, there are some things like that exist on Facebook. I think it's harder when it's local, because of competition, because like I was saying on Matthew Hallisay's episode, it's like no matter how much you want to believe there isn't any competition, it's just the reality of life, you know. It's like there is abundance out there, but there's still a market cap, you know. And it's a thing that I've been trying to grapple with a little bit, because like we were talking about before the podcast, you can counterpoint anything, you know. So it's like that's something I struggle with myself. I'm always devil advocating myself and others. I'm very argumentative,
right?
And so it's like I'm always like trying to be like it's. I think that's why that doesn't exist, because it is hard to be close with other people in your industry when you're working on a deal, you're trying to close it, and then they take it out from under you. That happens, you know, like whether they do it intentionally or not. Because I've done that to other people unintentionally. Like the client just chose me, they came to me, and they chose me, you know.
Well, maybe it's something where you haven't experienced, because I mean, most of your business life has been in Colorado in a lot of ways, but like this town is traditionally very hard. Just say you're trying to make friends. It's a very hard town just to make friends in.
Not me.
Other towns, for most people.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking for me, okay? I don't need to have a lot of these things that I'm talking about. I'm speaking in regards to people that talk to me who are, say, 2 to 3 years in their like business, and they're not finding it here, so they're gonna leave.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them have left. That I've talked to, even said some of their names. They've left for markets that are more community driven around finding the resources that they need to be successful here. And it's not just like, you know, it's not just resources. It's also like people linking arms and building community. We need to have that here, and it needs to be centralized in downtown. And most people, I mean, just on a base level, even just like finding friends here, it's very hard. It's a very pocketed town. When I lived in Northgate, I had no reason to ever come down here, and I never wanted to. I mean, even nightlife, anything. I had everything I wanted up there. But there needs to be something that drives people here, and this needs to be the real thing that cranks everything out. If we really want to hit that next level as
downtown.
A secondary city in Colorado, we need that. We need that. I lived in Fort Collins. They had that cranking. They're like
for some reason,
130,000 people there.
I just don't feel like it's missing. I think that's where maybe we're disagreeing.
I've talked to, I'd say 90% of all people who are transient here have had a lot of issues finding, and again, you found it through networking and all that stuff, which is good, because this started with
and
business.
This podcast, which is technically an iteration of what you're talking about.
But I'm just talking about like in general here, it's very hard for different communities to talk to each other. It's very hard. That's a challenge here. I also
struggled a lot of, and went through, I think, a lot of hardships that a lot of people wouldn't be willing to go through to get that.
But you're you. I'm talking about like I'm speaking to like the greater like people who are coming here, which there still is a lot of people coming here in drones, right? To, you know, put down roots, network, get to know people. There are going to be those people who are go-getters who are going to just be like whatever the bleep it takes. And that's like, we need to have that. We need to figure out a way.
I think that's just business though, right? Like
yes and no. Like whether you have that muscle or not is, you know, God given, but there's got to be ways for us to all link arms and have this conversation on a bigger level. There's no reason why we should have these networking, and they shouldn't have 500 to 1,000 people at every single one.
I've never even been to a networking event with that.
There's some in that in Fort Collins. There's many of them in Denver. I mean, Denver's Denver. It's a big city, but like, why Fort Collins? 130,000 people there. Why is that? You know, why is the average 20-something-year-old there make an average of $30,000 more there? You know, it's a smaller city. So there are some things that we can do here to bring and keep. I think it's mostly keep. I think we have no problem bringing people to Colorado Springs or whatever, but I want to keep the good talent here too. I've lost too many great friends who are like amazingly talented people to Denver or to other, states in the US. I want to keep them here. And I think if we don't see that issue, like I've seen that issue for a long time. Like I think we got to start having that conversation about that issue,
Okay.
Cause it's definitely prevalent, someone like you, again, you're an outlier, you're different. You're able to, get linked up with all the right networking groups, which they are great ones here. But again, like most businesses need things other than just networking too. They need to have resources, like we're talking about all those different things.
What resources?
It just depends on the business. Like there's definitely accelerators here. But we need more. We need competition in all those areas,
Because I know more than just networking. I was using Facebook. Facebook was a big proponent, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe even bigger than the network.
And I think when you moved here, it was actually at the peak of what the startup community was before, COVID kind of beat it up a little bit. It's going to come back. And I know it's going to come back, but I say when it starts to build up again, I want to be able to have that in mind.
But you still said it was missing though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you had that, when you were here in college, you said that it felt like it was only towards the college though, right? Like it was only because of college, or was there an actual
No, there was a community here.
Okay.
Downtown. Yeah.
Nice.
It was they had more things than just networking going on downtown. They had pitch nights. I'm trying to remember all the different things. They had startup weekend. I think they still have that here, but a lot of those have lost their steam. Even our Million Cups has lost its steam. So I want to be able to build that back up. But not only like I said, even when they're at their full steam here, maybe a couple hundred people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But we can get a lot more than that with the population here, with the level of talent here.
Imagine like something at the soccer stadium or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why don't we have like a really, this is my big gripe. I used to, I'm an event organizer. Why don't we have bigger venues here? Like a bigger, you've seen the ranch out in northern Colorado. Why don't we have a really nice venue here? Fairgrounds here. We have El Paso County Fairgrounds, but that's way out east. Why don't we have something here downtown to host much larger events like the ones I was hosting, rather than just like a soccer stadium or something? Like we need more.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That comes with time and like city planners and all those different things. Yeah. But like we gotta be ready for it. We gotta have a plan for it, because like our cities, if we want to get to the level that we're really, really pushing for, we gotta have those things in mind.
So what's something we can do to help bring that?
Got to have conversation with the people who are doing things, which those are the backbone of this whole community. And
what would Yemi say right now about like if you were talking to Yemi right now, someone who's very well connected with the business community, understands the business community, probably knows almost every single resource there is for business here. Do you think he would agree with what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had this conversation,
Okay, nice.
Not to this depth, but we've had this conversation before. Maybe a town hall with, a lot of the local young, either startups or like established business leaders who are trying to build a community out here. All of us put our heads together to figure out what we can do, what types of events we can do, who's in charge of what, who wants to champion what. And
we're doing community and I forgot about another one. I'm doing community and cocktails.
That's a great one.
It's a cool one. We have a lot of big business leaders in that one. It's very small, but it also costs. I think there's an interesting thing about the cost thing. I think having no cost allows for you to have a bigger audience, but I think having cost allows you to have a more valuable audience. Quality. Not valuable, but quality audience, because someone who's going to spend $20 to go out to something and meet and connect with people, they're going to be more invested, I think, I mean, it's only $20 too on top of that, but I remember when I first started my business, that would I couldn't do it. I didn't even really have $5, to pay for some of them. I had $5. I could spend the $5 to go to like a after hours, chamber meeting. It's like, if you can't spend $5, I mean, you just get out of business. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
like that's definitely the risk. I mean, that's not even a risk. It's like that's a coffee. 2 coffees.
Yeah. Well, to close this all out, I think this is a very exciting time for our city. I do think a lot of people who are not renting office spaces are going to have a lot of leverage in the next couple of months, because there are going to be a lot more office spaces that are going to be open and vacant for longer periods of time. So it's going to give the leasee a little bit more leverage, and that's exciting.
Okay.
So
it's a leasee's market.
Yeah.
Leaser's market?
Renter's market.
Yeah, renter's market. Renter's market.
Yeah. So that's super exciting.
So you don't think that's already happened?
No. I think office spaces are still way, way overpriced.
Oh, they definitely are overpriced, except for this one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can't get anything like this ever again.
I've had someone in this office straight up tell me when I told him how much I pay for this office, he was like, "Damn, that's expensive." I was like,
he doesn't know what he's talking about.
He's thinking of an office in a small town, like compared to that, it's like an office in a small town on the outskirts, maybe like that's what this would probably cost,
Yeah.
Like no downtown,
No. We have the best with here,
Mm-hmm.
but that's gonna happen. There's gonna be a big little change of guard that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So we gotta get ready for it.
If that office opens, I wonder if they let us tear it on the wall.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. We gotta pay the fee afterwards. So.
Oh yeah, just build it back up. Yeah. Or they'll probably just keep it. A bigger office. I think that's what happened to the one across the hall. I think there's one across the hall that does that. We could probably check into actually.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I think that would be cool because although there is sound and we can't really record during the week because of sound interference, we can though because this isn't like a scripted podcast. When I was doing the scripted podcast, sound was important. If there's a little bit of sound in the background, that actually doesn't affect our type of podcast. And these microphones are so great, they only pick up anything that's like really, really close to it.
Right.
So yeah. So when I'm watching like Logan Paul and Bobby Lee's yelling at someone when he's away from the microphone, you can't hear him.
Yeah.
Because it's the same microphones. Because
man.
we got the premium.
You want to close this out?
Edgar, have fun editing it.